It has been 18 months since a fire at a Toronto community housing building killed 4 seniors and sent 15 to hospital. Thick, toxic smoke was so heavy, firefighters had to crawl on their hands and knees to find the victims. Tonight, 18 months later, Toronto Community Housing has pleaded guilty to one non-criminal charge. Good evening. This Toronto community housing building is home to some of the city's most vulnerable people. Many have dementia, others have mobility problems. And when fire broke out on the 5th floor, the 4 who died here never had a chance. TCH admitted today the fire safety plan that may have saved their lives was not properly implemented, and they pled guilty to that in court today and will pay a $100,000 fine. However, they are distancing themselves from any responsibility for those 4 deaths. And tonight, family members say this is not justice.
I'm not really happy because they should have been charged with a more serious crime.
Fitzpatrick Richmond lost both his mother and father-in-law in the fire. 90-year-old Charles Roberts and his 72-year-old wife Hyacinth had been married for 51 years. Their family believes Hyacinth should have been able to escape, but would never have left her husband behind. They can't believe the punishment. A $100,000 fine is not harsher.
Paying $100,000 for 4 or 5 lives, that's what a life worth today. $100,000 for 4 people.
Fire officials say someone deliberately set a chair in the 5th floor hallway on fire, although no arrest has been made. TCH released a statement today stating the guilty plea does not mean they were responsible for the deaths. A TCH lawyer reiterated that statement outside the courthouse.
Okay, but you're giving me legal speak here, because really we know that those chairs led to this situation, and also we know that the super wasn't properly trained and he led people out of their units to their deaths in that hallway.
Neither of those facts were admitted today as part of this.
TCH originally faced 2 more charges, which were ultimately covered by the one charge they pled guilty to. One was for having the flammable chairs in the hallway, and the other for not properly training staff in fire safety protocol. The superintendent, who was trying to save lives, knocked on residents' doors and told them to leave. Fazila Khan almost died that day.
He said to leave, so we leave. I thought he knew better.
If the 4 people who died had stayed in their apartments, would they have had a better chance at survival?
Yes, there is no doubt in our mind that had the 4 individuals sheltered in place and stayed inside their apartments, their chances of surviving would have dramatically increased.
The local councillor says many questions about the fire remain.
Why was not training provided? Was it because of resources, or was it because of neglect? Was it because it's the neighborhood and people of color and seniors in low-income areas that have, been left out of prioritizing?
Nari Musavi's mother, Azima Safraj, also died in the fire. Nari has struggled physically and emotionally ever since, trying to deal with the loss.
The hardest thing for me is my mom did not deserve to die this way.
Now, the fire here raised a lot of questions about fire safety in TCH buildings, and we know that since 2015, there have been 37 cases against TCH for fire violations, with 20 convictions and 17 cases still outstanding. But changes have been made because of the fire. Toronto Fire will now examine every Toronto community housing high-rise once a year, and they'll be looking for things like chairs that are flammable in hallways.